the home of inspiration every day.
Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful.
From news,
countries across the globe have been hit by the COVID-19 virus.
Views,
there's a global trend to see an increase in GBV incidences, specifically domestic violence.
Sports,
What's he say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala.
and music to inspire you every day. This is Vuka Online, your inspiration radio station.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of The Cycle right here on Vuka Online Radio with me, your host, Mogale Mothale. It's been a while. We haven't been having the show for about 2 weeks now, but we are here now. And thank you so much for streaming this evening. I always make a mistake by saying that thank you so much for tuning in. But I think I forget that we are not tuning in here on Vuka Online Radio. We are streaming, but thank you so much for those of you who has taken some time and effort to stream this evening. We welcome you from wherever you are. I'm aware that we are not only broadcasting to the South African people, we also have people from the United States of America listening to us, from Germany, from the UK, and even from Russia. Good evening, everybody, wherever you are. I know that in the United States is 12 p.m. Other parts of the world is in the morning. Others, they are on the same time zone as us, is in the evening. But thank you so much, all of you, for streaming this evening. Thanks to my colleague, Mogale Mothale, for that news bulletin. He will be coming back at 7 p.m. to bring you the latest in the news. Like I always say, we here at Vuka Online Radio, we pride ourselves with the fact that apart from the fact that we bring you inspiring shows like The Cycle with me, your host, Mogale Mothale. We also have sports on Vuka with Mahanguna. We also have Health Matters Show with Colleen. We have the Masterclass, which broadcast every Monday from 10 a.m. until 11 with Mogale Mothale. We have a whole lot for you to choose from. We have got Out and About. We also have the fashion show. So there's a lot. There's a lot here to really learn from these inspiring shows that we have right here on Vuka Online Radio. This evening on The Cycle, we will be talking about the City of Johannesburg. For the longest time, the City of Johannesburg have been facing a whole lot of challenges, from urban decay to poor governance to political instability. For the last nine years, I think we have had about 9 mayors. Can you believe it? In the city of Johannesburg, a city that really needs to reclaim its original position, where it used to be, the economic powerhouse, of not only of South Africa but of the entire continent of Africa. And for that municipality, you will need competent political leaders. You will need competent councillors who have the best interest of the people of this city at heart. But what we have seen in the last few years is mayors changing mayoral chains. We have seen a lot of changes in the mayoral seat, in the speaker of the council. Different MMCs have been coming in and out, but there hasn't been an improvement in the lives of the people of this city, in terms of service delivery, in terms of ordinary simple things like collecting garbage every Friday or every Monday, whatever, making sure that whenever you open your tap, there is water coming out, there are lights, those kind of services. We haven't seen an improvement in terms of patching the potholes, making sure that our streets are safe in Ivory Park, in Tembisa. I mean, not in Tembisa because Tembisa is in Ekurhuleni. That's another municipality that has its own challenges. In Soweto, Orange Farm, Alexandra. You can name all these places. And when you go to these places, you will always have the same challenges, potholes, street lights not working, crime is high, a whole lot. So we need a government in the city of Johannesburg that really pays attention to the cries of the people and make sure that they really get to work in changing the lives and the experiences of the city, of the people of the city of Johannesburg. Just last week, the Democratic Alliance in the city of Johannesburg tabled a motion of no confidence against Mayor Dada Morero. When we had the Democratic Alliance right here on the show, when we were discussing the state of the city address by Mayor Dada Morero, because they did mention that there will be a table a motion of no confidence. I said to my guest at the time that you do you have numbers? She confirmed. She actually said to me, I don't know why many media houses think that we don't actually have numbers. We do have the numbers, and we will get Mayor Dada Morero removed. And last week, that was a dismal failure. ActionSA decided to abstain from that motion, and their speaker, the speaker Mthembu, was removed from the position of speaker, and we are going to be having this conversation with Councilor Marcel Coutriers, representing ActionSA in the city of Johannesburg, just to talk to us about the state of the city of Johannesburg and why they abstained from voting the mayor that they think is incompetent, doesn't consult from office, and also what is the way forward for ActionSA given the current developments in the city of Johannesburg. So that's the show for you. He will be joining us later on the show. Right after this short break, we will be going straight into some highlights of the week, and we'll be looking into what has been keeping us talking in the last few days. And right after that, then Councilor Coutriers will be joining us to talk to us about current developments in the city of Johannesburg. By now, I'm sure you know how to get in touch with us, to follow us, and to be part of the conversation. We are at Vuka Online Radio on all our social media platforms, at Vuka Online Radio on X, on Facebook, as well as on Instagram. Please do be part of the show, participate in the engagements this evening, and please stay tuned, because right after this short break, we go straight into our highlights of the week. Stay tuned.
The home of inspiration every day.
Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful.
From news,
Countries across the globe have been hit by the COVID-19 virus.
views,
There's a global trend to see an increase in GBV incidences, specifically domestic violence.
sports,
What's he say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala.
and music to inspire you every day. This is Vuka Online, your inspiration radio station.
Welcome back to the show this evening with me, your host, Mogale Mothale. This is The Cycle, the show that comes to you every Monday from 6 until 7 p.m. Thanks again for all of you who have decided to join us this evening by streaming this evening. Thank you so much for your support. For the benefit of those who maybe just joined us this evening, we will be looking into the current state of affairs in the city of Johannesburg. We know that the motion that was brought by the Democratic Alliance to have the Mayor Dada Morero moved from his office as the mayor of the city of Johannesburg has failed dismally, I must say, because they did not have enough numbers. And I remember when I had the leader of the Democratic Alliance in the city of Johannesburg said to me that we do actually have the numbers. She insisted that she does have the numbers, and they will certainly get the mayor removed. But it's quite interesting to see how things have turned in the last few weeks leading up to the motion of no confidence against the mayor. So Councilor Marcel Coutriers, representing the ActionSA, will be joining us to talk to us about these current developments, and also just to paint a picture for us of the state of the city of Johannesburg. For those who are not living in the city of Johannesburg, because we do have listeners who are listening to us outside of the city of Johannesburg. Some, they are even outside of the borders of this country. So it will be very important for us to get a picture of the state of the city of Johannesburg from a political point of view and also from a governance point of view. So at this point, that's the conversation that will be coming right after the show with Marcel Coutriers, the councillor in the city of Johannesburg representing the ActionSA. At this point, let's go into some of the highlights. Last week was a very busy week from Fred Mthembu doing a series of media briefings. We don't want to get into that, but let's start here this evening. I don't know what you make of the call by Fred Mthembu to go around the country consulting different traditional leaders, spiritual leaders, and ordinary citizens of this country if we really need another political party. What do you think? What do you think? Do you think that we need another political party to add to the long list of political parties that we have in this country? And what does that say about the vision that we should have all the progressive movement parties, all black political parties, uniting, and now you are suggesting that we should have another political party. I don't know, but anyway, let's move on. And we are starting here. 70 years of Freedom Charter. Last week we celebrated, or we were commemorating the 70 years of the Freedom Charter, its significance and the foundation upon which our constitution was crafted. But I also think that as we celebrate the 70th anniversary of the Freedom Charter, it is also important to understand that we are not just honoring a historic document, but I think we must be aware of the fact that we are actually honoring one of the most beautifully crafted visions of our liberation struggle. And I think the question for me is, have we lived up to those aspirations? Those who said 70 years ago in Kliptown and put this document together, will they be happy with where we are at this current moment? I think I'm just going to leave that to you as our listeners to decide, as a South African or as an international listener observing the South African politics at this point, as to whether we have lived up to those aspirations or we have actually failed. I don't want to get into a political debate, but let's move on. Former President of Zambia, Edgar Lungu's funeral legal battle. We know that this has been going on for a while. There's been some mediation between South Africa. Even the president of Zimbabwe went to Zambia to have this dialogue with Hichilema, but it doesn't look like it was fruitful. And last week, when there was supposed to be a funeral, it was halted because there was a court battle. And it's just so depressing for me that this former state man, there is just no direction as to which direction actually are we taking in making sure that we honor his life and we also reflect on his presidency in the right way, and also to give the family the enough and deserving time to mourn for this former statement. Because to us it's a former statement, but to them is a father, is an uncle, is a brother, and they want to really mourn for him in a proper way. But it's something that we are really keeping an eye on. Soon as we have all the necessary updates on this, we will certainly make sure that you are the first to know as the listener of Vuka Online Radio. Another story that has kept us talking last week was when the president actually went into the National Council of Provinces in Cape Town. And one of the questions that was asked to the president was about the national dialogue budget, which is about 700 million rands. And people were saying, really, President, with all these issues that we have in the country, are you going to take almost R1 billion to a national dialogue. And the president said, you know what, let's actually not focus on the amount, even though that amount is just a rough estimate. It could be less and even far less than 700,000 rands. But let's look at what this will do, because this is a dialogue that will, go into different or the provinces, the regions of this country, to actually talk about some of the issues that we're grappling with as a country. But the argument for me is that, do we really need a national dialogue? Because I think we have a sense of actually what is happening in this country, what is wrong with the current status quo, and how do we change that? Maybe we don't need a big dialogue. We just need a political will in making sure that some of the policies that have been adopted, they're actually implemented. We just need people who are serious about their jobs, people who are in the offices as ministers, people who are in their offices as director generals, people who are in their offices as mayors and councillors actually do their job. We can talk about transforming the economy, but that is something that you as government, you as parliamentarians have got the power, to change legislation if you think that the current legislation does not actually empower you. But from my understanding, looking at the constitution and the current policies that have been adopted, it really gives you, parliament, and you, the president, to begin to transform the economy of this country, change the face of the economy of this country. So I think we really don't need we don't need a national dialogue. I think we really know what are the challenges, and we have an idea of how to solve them. But president thinks that we need to have this, and maybe we should. But anyway, we're going to leave it there. The ongoing Iran-Israel conflicts and the NATO summit that concluded last week, and we hope that we really get to find a solution to this. It can't be that we are sitting here and thousands of people are losing their lives in the Middle East, and we are just sitting here, and all we do is to comment about it, is to share our views about it, but we are actually not doing anything. We need to stand in solidarity and make sure that we put a stop to this madness that is happening in the Middle East. Jacob Zuma last week in court challenging the expulsion from the ANC. It's just so ironic that this is the man who is actually leading one of the, according to the MK spokesperson, Ndlela, one of the fastest growing political party, a greatest opponent, and a threat, if I may put it that way, to the ANC, and is still fighting, to remain within the ANC. It's quite interesting for me, and I just don't know how this will actually, how will this be concluded in the courts, and how will this turn out for him, being the president of another political party and fighting for his membership on the other political party. I'm not sure if that will be the case with Floyd Shivambu. Will he fight for his membership in the MK? I don't know, but this is where we are going to leave it for the highlights of the week. We are back with Councilor Coutriers right after this short break. Stay tuned.
How do you know the life of personal coach you're about to work with is who they say they are? How do you know if they can do the job? At the Africa Board for Coaching, Consulting and Coaching Psychology, we can tell you. So, before you share your secrets and spend your money, check with us first. Visit www.abccccp.com or call us on 012-751-7608. The ABCCP, the professional body for coaches.
Welcome back to the show this evening. This is The Cycle, the show that comes to you every Monday from 6 until 7 p.m. This evening, we are joined by Councilor Marcel Coutriers, representing the ActionSA in the city of Johannesburg. He is joining us this evening to talk to us about the motion of no confidence which failed last week, which was filed by the Democratic Alliance in the city of Johannesburg. ActionSA abstained from that motion. And the Councilor Mthembu, who is or who was the Speaker of the Council, was removed through a motion of no confidence. And Councilor Coutriers is here this evening just to talk to us about the state of the city of Johannesburg. For those who live in Johannesburg, you will know some of the challenges that you are faced with. And for those who are living outside of Johannesburg, they will be interested to know what is the state of the city of Johannesburg. So Councilor Coutriers will be taking us or painting a picture for us this evening. And he will also be talking to us about some of the current developments. What is the way forward for ActionSA given the current developments in the city of Johannesburg? So without any waste of time, we are going to welcome Councilor Coutriers to the show. Councilor Coutriers, welcome to Vuka this evening.
Thank you very much, and good evening to yourself and your listeners. And on this cool evening.
Thank you so much. Maybe just to paint a picture for us, for those who are not the citizens of Johannesburg, who might not actually know the state of the city of Johannesburg, could you please just maybe paint a picture for us as a councillor representing your constituency in the city of Johannesburg?
Okay, so we've got various constituencies. We've got from Region A in the city of Johannesburg up until Region G. So just to give you a rough idea, if you know more or less the geographics of Johannesburg, it's starting in Midrand. We start in Midrand, those areas up there, and we straight all the way to the end of Johannesburg, which is Orange Farm, which is Region G. That's the last township or area or constituency in the city of Johannesburg. So it's quite a vast area. We're one of the biggest metros in the country. And yes, I must tell you, it's a metropolitan municipality. There's a vast difference between a municipality and a metropolitan municipality. So we're quite big. We're quite big. And that's why we don't have a mayor, but we have executive mayor. A lot of people don't know. The moment you have an executive mayor, it's normally a big area. Big constituency geographically.
So what is the state of the city of Johannesburg in terms of service delivery, and also from a political point of view? What is the state of the city of Johannesburg at this current moment?
Look, it is an undeniable truth that in Johannesburg, in our city, we are in crisis. And residents that live in this area will know, who live in the city, would know that service delivery is completely collapsed. The infrastructure decays by the hour, and before water and power outages are, it's a part of daily life. And of course, potholes, one day it's there, and the next day it's got children, and there's a whole lot of them there. So potholes are left to multiply. Refuse goes uncollected in some areas, and of course, crime is rampant. Lawlessness is left unchecked. And our entities, which we're calling the entities, City Power and Joburg Water and so on, they are buckling under the weight of corruption and dysfunction and growth with panic. That's where we are in Johannesburg right now.
So, given all these challenges that you have outlined and characterized them as a crisis for those who are living in the city of Johannesburg, so I will assume that you are one of those who say that the political leadership in the city of Johannesburg is failing on its mandate. Will I be correct to assume that the ActionSA, in a way, of the view that the current political leadership in the city of Johannesburg is failing on its mandate?
Well, exactly, and that is one of the reasons why. And you always remember that actually there was always said we'll never work with the ANC, the older days of President Herman Mashaba. But we got together and we sat down and said, look, in order for us to tackle the problem, we need to be part of the government, and that is when we made the decision to to get our Mogale Mthembu at that stage, to get her into head up the legislature. So in the city or in municipality, you have two arms of government, two spheres, if you want to call it. One is the executive, which is your mayor, and then one is the legislature, which is the speaker. And those two people head up those spheres of government. And that's why we decided to put deploy Mogale Mthembu to the speaker's office as the speaker to council.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we were.
Mm-hmm.
And we were slowly getting towards it. But alas.
So if that's the case, Councilor Coutriers, you were presented with an opportunity to remove the mayor last week when the motion of no confidence against Mayor Dada Morero was tabled before the council. You were presented with an opportunity to remove the mayor because clearly you have no confidence in his leadership, but you abstained from that motion. Could you please just talk to us about that?
Okay, yes, we did, and I can explain it. We meant every word when we came in 2021. We took an oath to the people of Johannesburg, to serve the people of Johannesburg and place the interest first. And we took that very seriously, and we put Mogale Mthembu in as Speaker to Council, and we fought. She fought a good fight. But at the same time, we were also speaking to the mayor, and we were saying, look, this has to be done, we prevented it. Quite different to other parties, we don't criticize and say, okay, the city's falling apart, do something, it's your fault, We came, we presented the problem, this is what's happening. Let us show you how to do it. These are the things you have to do. And it works. I mean, if you look at Sally, where we've got the mayor there, ActionSA employee, she's doing wonderful, almost miraculous work in the city of Johannesburg. It can be done. We can do the same thing in Johannesburg, but the mayor bumped up against us, he ignored us, he didn't consult us, the speaker specifically, but the party, when we made suggestions, when we said we do this, change this, the 250 rand levy on prepaid, he made a commitment to change it, and when he became mayor, he reneged on that commitment. So we know, and it's like I say again, it's an undeniable truth that Joe is in crisis. So here we come to council, and we find that there's a motion against the mayor. We know that the ANC and the DA is doing nothing, and the DA specifically is this power. They power mongers. They just want power. They want to get back into the city of Johannesburg, but they're not rolling up this to fix the city. They're not interested in building a stable or functional municipality or government in the city of Johannesburg. They're not. All the DA does is that they backstab, they plot, they horse trade, and they are obsessed with positions and not solutions. So we told the mayor, because we knew this was coming, and we said to Dada Morero, we said to you, you must remember, we've tried to talk to you, we've tried to do this and do that, we've given you advice, but we are not going to defend you when this motion of no confidence comes up, because we're not going to defend the mayor who decided over this mess, this chaos that's happening. And we knew that. I mean, we look at the other parties as well in the city. We look at the FFI in PA. We know full well that the mayor doesn't bother to consult on most of the things he does. I mean, he's taken the city address with it. He didn't consult on the budget. He didn't, and then he launched this bomb squad, which, a terrible idea. But we also made it equally clear that we will not use that force in the DA's latest stunt, which was because they tabled the motion of no confidence. So we said we're not going to use that force. And because the motion that they presented was clearly not about fixing the city. It wasn't about the residents of Johannesburg. It was a publicity stunt. It was a gimmick by them. And they are every bit as guilty as they in the slow collapse of Johannesburg. We also find out that in another motion, and that was the one the speaker, where another party also complicit in everything does a deal with the DA, and the understanding within that when they get rid of speaker or whatever, the DA will put that party's speaker in power. The same party that presented us with a mayor that, according to Dave Van Rooyen mayor, because he wasn't to be for long, and then there was a cloud that hung over it, you know.
Yeah.
So it was. We said we're not going to be used as pawns. So that's why we stood back and we said, let your, you know, we're not going to take an exception. We're not going to be part of it.
And Councillor, you at this point, that strategy, I'm not sure if it really, in a way, from a political point of view, it really worked for you because you lost the speaker's seat in the form of Councilor Mthembu. Now Councilor Mthembu has been removed as the Speaker of the Council. What is the way forward for the ActionSA in the city of Johannesburg?
Okay, so we were aware that our decision to have made this motion of no confidence will probably result in the ANC retaliating against our speaker, and we were quite with that. But we were quite fine with that. Well, not fine, obviously, but we accepted. But we did say that we will never compromise the residents of Johannesburg for positions. We won't do that. And we said that time and time again and demonstrated it. The good thing, and I think the residents have realized, just looking at social media and stuff like that, in this particular fight, we have the proverbial moral high ground because they saw what we were doing. Yes, our speaker comes out, or the Bush and Mthembu comes out, but at the end of the day, not all hope is lost. Maybe we can do absolutely more in terms of service delivery, in terms of speaking to national government or something like that, and get back into the city of Johannesburg at a later stage. But for now, it's a regroup. In fact, we've got a strategy going forward, and we take it from there. That's where we are at the moment.
And Councillor, maybe as we conclude this conversation, you made a mention of Nosipho Moya in the city of Tshwane, who is doing well in that city. Nobody can deny that fact. There's evidence to prove that she is doing a good job in the city of Johannesburg. What do you think, from a governance point of view, what do you think should be a way in which these two metros can actually learn from each other, particularly in this case, Johannesburg learning from the city of Tshwane? In which way do you think that these two cities can actually share best practices?
Well, I know for a fact that in terms of public safety, for example, our Section 79 in the City of Johannesburg will be going to the City of Tshwane and learning from the strategy that they have. I know, for example, that there's a memorandum of understanding between Tshwane, Ekurhuleni, and the City of Joburg. So when they are full-scale operations, and I'm talking just specifically the public safety sector, you find these operations all of a sudden there's Tshwane guys and Ekurhuleni guys, TNTD and EMPD with JNPD in Hillbrown. Let's just use Hillbrown as an example, where they're reclaiming a high-tech building or things like that. So there are those inter-municipal collaborations that are taking place. Whether it goes higher than that in terms of the executive, and whether the executive is actually taking these staff, for example, and taking his staff, for example, and taking them to Tshwane and saying, let's sit down, let's find out how one is doing this. How can we learn? I don't know. I don't know if it's doing it. We have extended that invitation, and I know Dr. Morero, the victim mayor has extended that invitation to the mayor in Johannesburg. Whether he's taken it up and whether he's using it, I don't know. I'm not able to tell you that.
No, but thank you so much, Councillor. I really wish we had more time to get into other issues, but thank you so much for making time with us this evening.
No, thank you, and to your listeners, please keep warm out there this weekend. Big cold front coming in.
Thank you so much. We are going to leave it here for the cycle this evening, and we just want to say thank you to Councilor Marcel Coutriers from ActionSA in the City of Johannesburg for making time to be with us this evening. Well, until we meet again right here on Vuka Online Radio next week, Monday from 6 until 7 p.m. From me, your host, Mogale Mothale In. It's a good evening and God bless you.
The home of inspiration every day.
Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful.
From news,
Countries across the globe have been hit by the COVID-19 virus.
views,
There's a global trend to see an increase in GBV incidences, specifically domestic violence.
sports,
What's he say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala.
and music to inspire you every day. This is Vuka Online, your inspiration radio station.